I've been self-publishing on Amazon KDP for a while now, and the question that I get asked almost more than anything else is, how do you actually make money with this? And I want to answer that today because the answer in 2026 looks a bit different to what it did a few years ago. The platform has changed, the competition has changed, and what gets a book selling consistently now is not the same as what got a book selling in, let's say, 2020 or 2021. So let's get into what's working right now and what the publishers who are growing are doing that most people aren't. Now, if you are new here, I'm Caroline, and I have been creating and selling books on Amazon for 8 years, and on this channel I show you how to do the same. Before I get into what's working, I want to talk about why most people aren't making money right now on KDP, because if you are in that position, it helps to understand why before we talk about how to actually fix it. The first reason is the volume trap. There's a belief that has been pushed around for years that the way to make money on KDP is to publish as many books as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can. More books equals more of a chance of something selling. And I totally understand where that thinking comes from. In theory, it makes total sense, and it was how people built their KDP businesses 7 or 8 years ago, but that's not how it works, at least not anymore. The self-publishers who are growing right now are not the ones with the most amount of books. They're the ones with the most intentional catalogs. Publishing 50 books in random niches with no real thought behind any of them will almost always produce worse results than publishing 5 or 10 books in the right niches with the right covers and the right listings. Volume without strategy is just noise. The second reason is publishing without doing any real niche research first, going into a niche based on feeling, or because something looked popular, or because somebody in some Facebook group said it was doing well, and doing that without actually checking whether there's real demand there, whether the competition is beatable, whether a new book has any realistic path to making it to page 1 of the search results. Most people spend more time designing the cover of their book than they do figuring out if the niche is even worth being in, and then they wonder why the book isn't selling. The third reason is that their books just don't compete visually. Covers that aren't at the level of what is already ranking on page 1. And I know that this one is probably a bit harder for people to hear because they think their covers are just fine. But fine doesn't sell on Amazon. Fine gets scrolled past. The bar for what a competitive cover looks like has gone up significantly in the last few years, and a lot of people are actually still making books to a standard that would have been okay in 2020, but it doesn't hold up now. And the fourth reason is listings that do no selling work at all. The title doesn't include the words that the buyers are actually searching for. The description describes the book rather than making someone want to actually buy it. The back-end keywords were just quickly filled in on the day of publishing the book and then were never touched again. All these things compound, and a book with a weak listing is invisible to Amazon and unconvincing to buyers even if they do find it. Most of the struggling on KDP right now comes from some combination of those 4 things. Not bad luck or a platform that is broken or oversaturated, just those 4 things. So let's get into what is actually working, because this is the part that you probably just really want to know. The biggest thing that I'm seeing consistently across the best performing books right now is that giftable books are dominating. And when I say giftable, I don't just mean journals, because I think that's the assumption that some people make, that they are the only kind of giftable book. I have featured guided prompt journals in a few of my videos because they do perform really well on Amazon and they are very giftable. But I also mean coloring books, puzzle books, activity books, recipe journals, memory books, guided prompt books, crossword books themed around a specific passion or hobby. Anything that somebody picks up and immediately thinks that that would be a perfect gift for someone. The gift market is actually bigger on Amazon than most people probably realize, and it's not as seasonal as you might think. The guided prompt journals that I've been talking about recently are big sellers at gift buying times. And yes, they definitely spike at Christmas and around Mother's Day and Father's Day, but people are actually buying these books as gifts all year round as well, for birthdays, for retirements, or for just because. The publishers who are tapping into this are not dependent on just 1 or 2 times of the year. Their books are selling every single month and then spiking on top of that when these big occasions come around. Now, what separates giftable books that really perform from the ones that are just sitting there is the emotional hook. And this is something I want to spend a little bit of time on because I think it's one that most people miss. The best-selling dog lover coloring book isn't selling because someone needs pages to color. It's selling because a dog lover saw it and felt something, or because someone who loves a dog lover saw it and thought, that's the one. The anxiety coloring book isn't selling because somebody needs to do something with their hands. It's selling because somebody feels overwhelmed and they want to feel less like that. The grief journal isn't selling because somebody needed lined paper. It's selling because someone is going through something really hard and they want to feel less alone in it. The self-publishers who understand this write their titles and their descriptions around a feeling first and the product second. Most people describe what the book is. The bestsellers describe what the book does for the person using it, the person holding it. That shift in thinking changes everything about how you write a title, how you write a description, even how you design your cover. You're not selling a product, you're selling an experience or a feeling or a moment between two people. And when you approach it that way, your sales will start to reflect that. Now, niche research is where all of this starts well or falls apart, and the publishers making money consistently right now treat it as the most important step in the whole process, not a quick Amazon scroll to see what's popular, actual demand research, looking at bestseller ranks across a niche to understand whether there are actually real buyers there, checking how competitive the niche is and whether a new book has a realistic shot at ranking, looking at whether the top books already have thousands upon thousands of reviews from publishers who have been there for years and years, or whether the niche is more open, checking whether there are seasonal spikes in demand and when they happen. That kind of research done before a single page is designed is what separates the books that get traction from the ones that don't. And if you do want a head start on that, I put together a free report of 100 profitable KDP niches, things like the giftable emotional niches we've just been talking about that you can get sent straight to your inbox from the link down in the description below. It's totally free and it will save you a lot of time going down the wrong rabbit holes. The next thing is working to build your catalog in clusters rather than randomly. And this is probably the biggest strategic difference between the publishers who are growing fast and the ones who aren't. The ones who are doing well right now are not just publishing whatever niche takes their fancy that week. They pick a niche, they go deep into it, they build a series, they create a reason for someone to come back and find 5 more books that they want to buy. When one of your books gets a sale, Amazon starts showing buyers your other books, but only if those other books are relevant to what the buyer just purchased. A scattered series of unrelated books across completely different niches doesn't get that benefit. A focused catalog where books are connected and complementary absolutely does. Each new book that you publish in a niche that you're already in borrows from the credibility of the books that are already there, and it pulls the whole series up together. That compounding effect is one of the most powerful things available to KDP publishers right now. Then there's seasonal publishing, layered on top of an evergreen foundation. And most successful self-publishers in 2026 have figured this out really well. The core of their series is in niches with year-round demand, so things that people want in December and also in August and also in March. But those same books are positioned to spike at key moments throughout the year because of their niche choice or their positioning as gifts, or both. A dog lover coloring book sells every month and then sells a lot more in November and December during that Christmas gift buying period. A gratitude journal sells every month and then starts to sell more in January when people are in that headspace of starting fresh with their New Year's resolutions. A book for dads sells all year round, but then spikes in June without you doing anything extra. For example, look at this dad journal. Tell me your life story, Dad. This is a guided prompt journal. If we go down and take a look at the sales history of this book, you can clearly see the sales spike every single year at Father's Day, again at Christmas for the Christmas gift buying period, again at Father's Day, when people are buying this as a gift. But then aside from these two spikes that it's getting every single year at Father's Day and Christmas, it keeps selling pretty steadily at other times of the year when people are buying it as maybe a birthday gift or a just because gift, just buying it because they wanted to. Every successful publisher has seasonal books as part of their business. Even books like children's picture books take advantage of this. Just like this series of children's picture books, it's a very popular series of children's picture books. This series, this publisher and this author has a bunch of evergreen books, but then it hits pretty much every event throughout the year, like How to Catch an Elf for Christmas, How to Catch the Easter Bunny for Easter, How to Catch a Monster, which will get popular at Halloween, how to catch a turkey for Thanksgiving time, how to catch a snowman, how to catch Santa Claus, again aimed at the Christmas market, how to catch a witch, which comes back around to Halloween. Understanding that seasonal layer and building your series with it in mind means you've got predictable spikes built in throughout the year. The publishers who are doing this right are planning their releases months in advance, and they're not surprised when their numbers jump because they plan for it. It's not luck, it's timing. Reviews are the next thing, and most KDP publishers are massively underestimating how much they affect a book's performance. A book with 50 reviews converts at a completely different rate to a book with no reviews. Amazon trusts it more and shows it to more buyers. Buyers trust it more with those reviews and then are more inclined to click on it. It becomes that compounding effect. The more reviews you get, the more trust you have, the more buyers click on it, the more buyers buy it, the more they review, and the cycle continues on. And the whole listing performs better when there's social proof behind it. The publishers whose businesses are growing right now are not just publishing and hoping reviews show up eventually. They have an actual plan for getting them. Some of them have built up an email list of potential buyers or previous buyers who want to hear about new releases. Some have a community somewhere, whether that's a Facebook group, or an Instagram following, or a TikTok audience that they can tell about a new book. Some use inserts inside of the book to point buyers to leaving a review, and most people are doing a combination of these things. The point is they're doing something about it rather than just waiting. A book with no reviews can sit there for months and never get any traction. A book with 50 solid reviews is a completely different proposition to Amazon and to buyers, and that alone can be the thing that determines whether a book ever goes anywhere. The tactics that I've just talked about only work if the thinking behind them is right, and that's what I'm going to get into now. The publishers making real money on KDP in 2026 do their research before they do anything else. They don't open Canva until they've confirmed there's actual demand in the niche they're about to spend their time on. That discipline alone puts them ahead of the majority of people publishing on KDP right now, because most people skip it or rush it and then spend weeks making a book that was never going to sell regardless of how it looked. They take covers seriously as a business decision. They look at page 1 of the search results in their niche and asks themselves honestly whether their cover belongs there, whether it's actually at that level, thumbnail to thumbnail, next to the books that are already selling. And if it isn't, they fix it, because no amount of good keywords or a well-written description is going to compensate for a cover that loses a buyer in the first 2 seconds. They know their numbers. They know which books are earning royalties and which ones aren't. They know which niches are working for them, and they put more energy into those rather than constantly chasing something new. They're reading their reports. They're understanding what the data is telling them, and they're making their decisions based on that, not based on what feels right or what someone said on YouTube, but on what their own series of books is actually showing them. And they think about building something with an identity, with a brand. The most successful publishers on KDP right now have author pages that look like they belong to someone who knows what they're doing. There's a thread running through what they publish, a consistency that builds trust with buyers over time and makes people more likely to come back when a new book drops. That kind of recognition compounds the same way the series does, and it opens a door that a random collection of books under a name that nobody knows never will. So how do you actually make money on KDP in 2026? You publish books that tap into a feeling and that people want to give to someone they love, whether that's a journal or a coloring book or a puzzle book. You research your niches before you commit to them rather than after. You build your brand and your series with intention so that your books support each other rather than starting each one from scratch. You take your covers seriously because buyers are deciding in seconds. You actually have a plan for getting reviews rather than just hoping they appear out of nowhere. You understand the seasonal windows in your niche and you plan around them, and you think about building something recognizable over time rather than just adding books to a list. The publishers struggling to make royalties are mostly doing the opposite of all those things. The publishers growing are doing all of them. The difference between them isn't talent or skill, and it isn't luck. It's just better decisions made earlier in the process. If you want to start with the niche research side of things, that free report I mentioned earlier in the video is down in the description. 100 profitable KDP niches, things with real demand behind them, sent straight to your inbox, totally free. And if this video was useful, make sure you subscribe because I put out a new video every single week that will help you build a better self-publishing business and make more money from your books on Amazon. And if you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too, so please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own low and medium content books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.